What's up, everybody? It's Kane Bradfield, the host of hashtag KaneSaid. We're going to talk some sports. I got my co-host.
Kersey, and we are here to give you all the stats and highlights for the LaGrange Troup game coming up this week.
Yeah, and I got a special guest, my man Andrew. Andrew, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, man, this is always blessed to have you on the show, man. But listen, this week here, man, we have LaGrange versus Troup. Man, it's a rivalry that everybody talks about. Yeah, but tell me your input on LaGrange versus Troup as far as the rivalry.
Well, it's obviously one of the biggest games in the state of Georgia. Just historically, it's one of those games that's like Valdosta and Lowndes. Very very competitive game. Oconee, Clark County. Just Opelika, Auburn. It's just one of those big time games that it really means a lot to this, not just the players, but the community, regardless of what the records are. But I think we can see this version of the rivalry is probably going to be the biggest one we've seen in probably a decade.
Right, right. I agree with that, man. One thing that I've learned about this rivalry, man, that it's tense. It's tense, man. Man, I remember,
Mhm.
what I'm saying, growing up in LaGrange, man, seeing standing room only, what I'm saying, when they came to LaGrange versus True. So do you think, I know we got the COVID stuff going on, but do you think, man, that the crowd is going to come back for this game?
Yeah, I think you'll see. I think you'll see a huge crowd for this one. I mean, obviously, there's a lot on the line. I think the winner of this game has a really good shot at being maybe a two seed, if not the three seed in the region. I mean, obviously, Carver and Hardway are both undefeated as of right now in the region. But the winner of this game is kind of in the driver's seat of their playoff seeding, and the loser is going to have a tough road and probably end up as the four. And I think the four seed in this region is doesn't have a very favorable matchup in the playoffs. So definitely, this will be a huge game. I think there'll be a lot of um, fan participation. I think both fan bases are fired up, and I know the Grangers will show up because they're trying to end I think it's a 4 or 5 game losing streak to the Tigers.
Right, right, right. So Caroline, listen, you're at the school. You're in the mix. From a student standpoint, talk to us about, I guess, the energy at school.
I think that as like a sophomore at LaGrange, as he said, I'm in Blue Crew and everything. I am all here for LaGrange, and I have a good bit of friends that go to Troop, but during Troop LaGrange week, it's a little bit of a this. We don't really speak as much as we normally do, just to it's almost like the Auburn Alabama game or the so-and-so game of LaGrange. Like, it's a huge deal for everybody, and I think that, like, as a student at LaGrange, as I like walk through the halls, everybody's just so excited. And I think especially this year, more than others, because of the team that LaGrange has built this year. I think that we obviously have a better chance against True this year, and I think that everybody's just so excited
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it's gonna be great.
Oh my God. So Andrew, let me ask you this, man. Me, man, seeing Napier, what I'm saying, making a turnaround this year. And this is his first year dealing with the grain versus truth, man. You know what I mean? So if you had one word to say to him, man, what would it be?
Well, I mean, I think for him, he's been there and done that before. With his time at Callaway, obviously playing against Troop, coaching against Tanner Glisson before, but he's coached in a big time rivalry in our area too with Callaway and Heard County, and that's a similar kind of game where there's no love lost between both teams, and I think that experience will really carry over into this game where it's not too big. He's coached against Troop before. He's familiar with the players. I think he's just got to go out there and just be himself and do what's got him there. And they're off to a fantastic start in the region, their best start as a program since 2009. So I think you just got to keep doing what he's doing and just rely on the experience he's had. At his time at Callaway, coaching in those big games, and also coaching against Coach Glisson and his Troop Tigers the past couple of years.
Most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. Man, speaking of Coach G, man, and the True Tigers, man, you know, Coach G has more experience at this game. You know what I'm saying? As far as LaGrange versus Troup, man. So, what do you think his mindset at right now?
Well, obviously, they had a rough start to the season, but I would argue they played a much tougher non-region or a much tougher start of the season than anybody else in their region did. I mean, obviously they had to play Callaway, who's ranked number one in 2A. Had to play Hardway, Harris County, who's having a really good season. And, obviously you're starting a 14-year-old Teo Todd at quarterback. But he's got to love hit the bounce back that he's seen right now from his team. His defense is playing really, really well, which I think is encouraging. And his offense, I think, is still trying to kind of figure out what they want to be. But you're seeing that Teo's kind of maturating before our very eyes. He's able to run the football. Now they're letting him throw the football a little bit as well. And I think he's going to end up being one of the best quarterbacks that Troup's ever had when it's all said and done. But as far as this year, I think Coach Glisson likes that his team has gotten better each and every week that they've played.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So speaking of the quarterbacks, man, we have two young quarterbacks, to be honest. You got a sophomore in Jalen Brown at LaGrange. You got a freshman, with Teo Todd at Troup. So Caroline, talk to me about that matchup. Just having two young quarterbacks lead the way.
Overall, I think that they kind of almost like contradict each other. I guess they're more of like an opposite quarterback. Jalen, you have a stronger passer with over 1,000 yards in passing, and then you've got Teo, who is more of a stronger runner. But like as he said, they're starting to let him throw more, so he's getting more yardage in that. I just think that they're a little bit of an opposite quarterback, which I think will make a really good matchup for the game.
Right.
So I think that'll be a big part of the game. I guess really who can
Who survived at the end, right? Yeah. But let me tell you something though. I mean, I see that. I see two different types of quarterback. Like I said, Teo, man, he's leading his team in rushing. Matter of fact, Teo has the opportunity to have 1,000-yard passing and 1,000-yard rushing, and that's remarkable. You know what I mean, for any athlete, and not to mention a freshman. And Jalen, like I said, and Jalen to me came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? He came out of nowhere, man. He's leading his squad, man. So Andrew, man, talk to me about Jalen, man. How much you know about Jalen?
So, I mean, I've seen him play the second straight year. I saw him play a little bit last year in a backup role to Charles Crawford, and obviously he was a little raw. I mean, younger kid, freshman this year. I think he's done a good job of buying in to what Coach Napier is teaching. And Coach Napier is a great quarterback coach. I mean, he's done a great job. He's had awesome guys in the past, like Tez Parks, Dylan Johnson, Coach Demetrius Coleman for a couple of years. So he does a really good job developing quarterbacks. But as far as Jalen is concerned, I think obviously at the beginning of the year, didn't start as fast as you'd like because with COVID and a new coaching staff, Coach Napier had a limited time to work with his guys, install what he wants to install. So I think, just like I said, with Troup, I think you've seen Jalen improve each and every week. He's more of a bruiser in the run game, so he's going to be a guy like on 3rd and 1. You're not afraid to let him get the ball, run a quarterback power, or run a zone read off tackle, and try to pick up that yard. And he's also got a really good arm, does a good job in the passing game, and he's got some really good receivers to throw to as well. So I think Jalen obviously is probably not where he wants to be, but I think he's making really, really good progress as far as what he's put on the up his numbers this year too.
Right. I agree with that because Jalen, man, if I'm not mistaken, man, you're talking about a kid who's 200 pounds or more. You know what I mean? So I mean, in that run game, he's super important with that. But speaking of a run game, to me, man, I think both teams are going to try to establish the run. You know what I'm saying? And both got good running back, got a good running system. But let's talk about Gills, man. Talk about Gills from LaGrange High. Man, I see right now, man, he got over 1,000-yard rushing, and he had just been lighting it up. So, Caroline, tell me how you feel that Gill is leading the way for LaGrange.
I mean, clearly, with over 1,000 yards with over 1,000 yards, clearly Clay is like a strong runner, leading our team, as you said. And I just think that without him, he was out for part of the was it Hardaway? I think it was the Hardaway game with a they thought it was a concussion. I can't remember if it was or not. but and you could saw our team. It's almost like our team was a little bit loose. I feel like he really pulls together the team, and he has over 14 touchdowns this year, 3 receptions. He's averaging 10 yards per carry. I mean, he's just clearly just a strong, like a very overall strong runner. I think that for LaGrange's team, he's a key player to like keep the team together.
Yeah, definitely. So, Drew, man, you covered LaGrange some games this year, man. So, man, give me your up and personal breakdown on Gibbs as a runner.
I think he's really explosive. Obviously, he was injured a lot of last year, and he's 100% now. And you're seeing, what he can do. Obviously, Coach Napier does a good job giving his running backs the opportunity to succeed. He's always had good backs. He's always had running backs put up numbers. But I think with Calais, you kind of got the total package where he can run for power. He's also got the speed and agility to get to the edge. And once he gets to the edge, he can outrun a lot of defensive backs. And he also can catch the ball really well out of the backfield. So he's kind of the complete package that you want in a tailback, which is rare. But the most important thing here for LaGrange in this game is you've got to get him going. Because you saw in games that they've struggled, like Carver, where Carver took Calais away really fast, LaGrange struggled to move the ball in that game as it progressed. So obviously the key to LaGrange is getting Calais going, and then Jalen can make plays off play action, off of pulling the ball off his zone read or RPO looks, and making plays with his legs. But the offense, everything Friday night comes down to, can LaGrange get Calais Gibbs going? Because, he's their bell cow. He makes everything happen for them.
Man, most definitely, man. And I'm going to tell you one important hire I think that helped Coach Napier with bringing in Coach Neighbors. Man, he has coached a lot of talented running backs, man. So I think bringing him in the mix, really helped Gibbs also as far as his development. But man, let's talk about Troup run game. I know Teo, he's leading the way with over 900-yard rushing. But, man, what about Ferguson, man, and A.J. Tucker? What important part would they play in this game?
Well, obviously where LaGrange had the running threats of, Jalen Brown and Calais Gibbs, Troup's got, in my opinion, they got a four-headed monster. Where I feel like they're just a little bit deeper as a team as far as being running backs and guys that they have to carry the football. But you look at Ferguson, 535 yards, 5 touchdowns. A.J. Tucker, 285 yards, 5 touchdowns. And then you've got Navonte Moss, who's come onto the scene as well with 360 yards and 2 touchdowns on the season. I think Ferguson obviously is your lightning. He's the guy that he can return kicks. He's kind of a more physical version of Mark Anthony Dixon that they had last year, who can make plays in the passing game, the return game, the kicking game. And he's lethal if he gets to the open space. And then Tucker and Moss are just your between the tackles guys where they're not afraid of contact. If you need a yard to pick up, that's who you want to get the ball to. If you need a first down, you want to get the ball to Tucker and Moss. And then we can't forget Teo Todd.
Right.
Teo Todd, 79 carries, 937 yards, and 7 touchdowns on the season. It's a really, really hard to get to stop those guys once they get downfield for sure, or once that running game gets started.
Yeah, most definitely, man, most definitely. So this is what I said earlier. I really think, the key going to be who can establish the run early. I think really, both teams are aiming for that. But in terms of passing the ball, again, like we said earlier, Caroline Porter, she pointed out earlier how Brown had over 1,000-yard passing. And so let's talk about some of the receivers from LaGrange. Like, for example, man, A.J. Trader. I see, man, a kid like that who's a big body, I think like 6'2", man. He got like 351 yards receptions, and like 16 receptions, I'm saying. But here's the deal, though. So they're telling me that he's a big play receiver because he averages like 20-something yards per catch.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you have an elite run game and you can throw off play action. We saw it last year with Coach Napier when you had receivers like Jacob Freeman and Jameer Jones and had a tailback like Tank Bigsby. If you get the running game going, there's going to be plays to be made downfield, and we're seeing that with this LaGrange high offense now. Is once Gibbs gets going, you get guys like AJ Traylor, Magic Johnson downfield. Trey Cole as well stepped up as well, made some plays in the passing game. I think LaGrange has been more explosive in the passing game, just with Brown having a bigger arm. He's just so strong. He's got a good base, and they do a good job of utilizing the play action with the running game. You don't see a lot of LaGrange high passing plays where they just drop back and they're going to throw from the get-go. And when they do, it's normally a slant route or an easy completion. When they go down the field, it's off of a heavy run action, and you've got a guy like AJ Traylor to throw the ball to. You got to like your chances doing that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so, but here's the deal with the receiving core, man. They're kind of young. Come Magic, if I'm not mistaken, Magic a freshman. Well, he's a sophomore, so you got a young team who's getting the job done. So, Caroline, talk to him about, guys who are inexperienced but playing big parts and big roles.
Right, we've got, as both of you said, Magic Johnson, who's a sophomore. He's got over 200 yards. And then you've got people like Kobe Jones, who's a junior, and he has over 160 yards. And then just people that are like making the team come together with the passing, and like you said, because you have to have your receivers out there to get you those yards. And then you also have people on Troup that are like Marquarius Kelly and Dean. They both have key parts in this offense. So I think that just small people like that can bring the team together and those passes in play.
Right. It's okay. Now, speaking of Kobe, Kobe's a basketball player. So, Drew, man, you've been able to see Kobe transition what he's doing on the basketball court to the field, man. How has that been, for us watching him do that?
And he's made a lot of plays, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He's had some good interceptions, some game-winning interceptions too. But you can just tell his athleticism when he's on the field. They like to get him in space, like to match him up with linebackers and safeties, give him an opportunity to make a play. But I tell you what, he's done a really good job. I've been really impressed with him this year. He's kind of just been there, Johnny on the spot. If they need a big play, you look towards Kobe Jones. I mean, he's done a good job with his opportunities, especially on the defensive side with the interceptions, being able to seal some of those games. Really, really explosive, as well as Magic Johnson. And AJ is kind of like your Des Bryant. You're just going to have him go up and catch those 50-50 balls, be physical. And AJ's normally bigger than most of the DBs he's going against. So you got to like your chances with that receiving core. You've got a little bit of everything with each of those players. And the scary thing is they're so young. You've got young guys with a sophomore quarterback, so that they can only get better from here.
Right. I agree with that, man. But let's go back and talk about the running backs for a second. Now, I want to talk about A.J. Tucker a little bit, man. I know, again, that's a young kid. I think he's like a sophomore also. Mm-hmm. And, man, he is a tough runner. I can remember when this kid was a freshman, man, everybody would always call me and talk to me about A.J. So, Caroline, give me your input on AJ as a runner and his important role in this game.
I think that, like you said, he's very good at finding those open windows and getting through those spots just to make those key, explosive plays that you really need for a team. He's averaging, about 8 yards per carry. And, as you said, is just such a young player. I think both of these teams have, overall, mostly young players on their teams, basically two young teams. That shows so much promise for when as he gets older and as his game improves, he is clearly a very explosive player for their team.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you just go back to what you said earlier, man, how this game here is so pivotal. You know what I mean? Because a win can put you in a good position, a loss can put you in a bad position. So you know what I mean? So this game is more than just a rivalry, to be honest. There are playoff positions, involved in this win. So I think that's going to really make this game even more crazier. Drew, you agree with that?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna add some luster to the game. Obviously sharing the region, it's a must win. You look at Troup's overall record, you kind of got to throw that out with the non-region. They're doing really well with their region schedule. They haven't lost a game since they lost to Hardway, and LaGrange has only lost to Carver, which Carver's the class of Region 2 quad A anyway. So, I mean, it was kind of one of those games where they showed a lot of fight. They showed the ability to hang with those guys, just made some self-inflicted wounds, allowed Carver to pull away. But this is as big as it gets. Obviously, when Troup and Callaway play, it's just for bragging rights, or if Callaway and LaGrange get together, it's just for bragging rights, more of a fun game. With this one, you've got playoff seeding on the line. This is a big deal. This is a big game for both teams here, for LaGrange and for Troup. So obviously LaGrange comes in, with some momentum here. Troup comes in off of they've had some COVID situations that they've had to overcome. I know their performance against Shaw wasn't something that they were happy with. Defensively, they play really well. Offensively, had some issues. So obviously, I think they're going to come into this game really, really fired up, to play. And as is LaGrange, it's going to be a really big atmosphere for both teams. And I can't stress the importance for this game as well for playoff seeding, because if LaGrange wins this game, they kind of control their own destiny for the 2 seed because they haven't played Hardway yet. If Troup wins this game, and you hope maybe Carver can take care of Hardway and maybe LaGrange takes care of Hardway, then the 2 seed is still on the table for you. Everything's in front of you. So big game for both teams.
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. So it's like gonna be an exciting game, man. It's gonna be a very exciting game. I mean, personally, I can't wait. Man. There's no better situation you can ask for than a game like this. So, guys, appreciate y'all being part of this show, man. Thank y'all so much.